Hi there. Welcome to Life Between Coasts, the podcast where we dive into our personal journeys connected through synchronicity. So grab your coffee, light a candle, and let's begin. I'm your host, Leah, and we're glad you're here. Today, we're sitting down with Matt, and actually, it's a revisit, Matt Part 2. We had the privilege of sitting down with him to learning about his first struggle in life, which was, substance abuse and coming to grips with, hitting the bottom and then bouncing back. But
Yeah.
there's another big factor of your life that we didn't have the opportunity to talk about. So let's begin and talk about that. And it's about your personal transformation. So it's about health, about body, about your mindset on what you want to do, and how to live longer. So tell me more.
Yeah, I think, you know, when I got sober, I everything kind of switched over to the same kind of addictive habits switched over to food.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was never, I was always overweight, but I got, the heaviest I've been was 330 pounds, and that happened after sobriety.
Right.
I just, you know, sugar, carbs, just
Mm-hmm.
overeating.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the way I used it the same way I did alcohol or drugs, and I got really, really heavy. And I was always good at losing the weight,
Uh-huh.
but I did it like the bodybuilding style workout where you're eating just chicken and broccoli. And, you know, I know people do it and it works for them. But to me, it sucks because it always left me, I always gain the weight back, cause I'm like, man, I don't like eating this way.
Well, a couple pointers just from a female perspective. Some of it was, I think, when you take away foods, I think
Yeah.
that's why you gain it all back because you don't give yourself the option of, I say everything in moderation.
Yeah.
But if you cut sweets out or you cut sugar out, and then as soon as your lips touch it again, you're gonna want it,
Yeah.
right? So it's
Yeah.
like if you just reduce it, that sometimes is a better path. But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's my personal opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think everybody's different.
Hmm.
Um, I think that's like one of the biggest things in the world today is like we all think whether it's parenting, food,
Right.
like we are like, no, this is the answer. And it's like,
Right.
well, maybe,
But it's very individual.
it's absolutely,
Right.
yeah. And that's what. But anyways, what happened to me is I landed upon the carnivore diet. Weight Watchers actually worked for me too.
Hmm.
I will admit that Weight Watchers, but my weight started going back up
Right.
because I wasn't eating, and then I landed upon the carnivore diet because there is a somebody who I followed for years, Jordan Peterson. I don't know if you heard of Jordan Peterson. He's a clinical psychologist out of Canada.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, I think I've seen a few of his things.
yeah, and he had a daughter, Michaela Peterson. Well,
Mhm.
Michaela Peterson had rheumatoid arthritis,
Mhm.
and she had a hip replacement when she was 15 and an ankle replacement when she was 17. And she did a process of elimination diet. Well, I mean, first off, they said, no way we can heal you. This is something you're going to deal with for the rest of your life. You're not going to have any kids, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And so she started doing a process of elimination diet because she found out when she had certain foods, the flare ups would be worse in her RA.
Mhm.
So it was some candy she was, I think it was, I could be wrong, but I think it was like um, Sour Heads or Sour Patch Kids, I think. But it was something along the lines where she loved it. And that's how she got started because she said when she had this candy, the flare-ups were really bad. So that's how she started doing the process. She's like, oh, maybe food has something to do with this.
Right.
And so anyway, she landed upon like protein and greens, and it did really well, probably broccoli or I'm not sure like what greens.
Right.
But then she cut out the greens, and then she went all the way past carnivore to what's called the lion diet. And that's literally beef, salt, and water. And that's all she ate. She completely healed herself of
Okay.
RA. She had no more symptoms. She's got children, or they
Okay.
told her that she was never gonna have kids, which is something I think, like, the medical industry should be shouting from the even if it only helped one person,
Right.
but we probably would agree there's reasons why they didn't share her story. Um, but so anyways, Jordan Peterson told this story, and I'm like, "Okay, well, I've been following Jordan Peterson for years. I know he's not like some kook."
Right.
So I was like, "Let me try the carnivore diet." And, the weight just came off. I was eating, just couple pounds of beef every single day with eggs,
Uh-huh.
and, uh, and I didn't feel restricted. People were like, I'm losing 50, 60 pounds, and people are coming up to me going, "Dude, you look shredded. Like, what do you do? Like,
Right.
congratulations on your diet and like, the way to stick to this and
Right.
because it's tough." And I'm like, "Actually, man, I eat steak, eggs, and butter every single day. It's not hard." So I think like that was my key to it was like I didn't feel like I was, like I'm gonna have a steak tonight.
Right.
I don't feel, you know,
Ashamed to do it.
yeah, ashamed, and I
Well,
don't.
it's funny because, when you say carnivore diet, and I'm not comparing you to a dog by any means,
Yeah,
but my pup Monty, he that's all he eats, so he doesn't eat kibble. I mean, I throw a cup, maybe 2 in a bowl just in case he wants something to nibble on, like, as a snack or something,
sure.
and it might take him a month and a half to eat the kibble out of the dish,
Yeah,
because he doesn't eat it.
yeah,
But every morning and every night, he gets one of 3 things. He likes cheeseburgers. We do throw a slice of cheese on there because that's his favorite thing, but
yeah,
his ultimate meat is venison. So my mister will, um, kill a few deer, each season,
yeah,
and then we have it cut up and put it in the freezer, and that's his main meal. So he eats venison, we call it "dur," and he licks his lips every time he knows he's getting that, but it's venison, steak, pork, or, and he actually has an allergy to chicken, so we don't even
mm,
give him chicken anymore.
yeah,
And so but that's his diet, and he is completely shredded from that. He's an
yeah,
active pup, but,
yeah, yeah.
you can see the definition and everything in him.
Yeah, yeah, if you're I'm sure I never seen him, but I'm sure his coat is
Yes.
just shiny and
Yep.
beautiful and
Oh, yeah, his teeth, his body, his health, everything is, and that's what he's eaten from the beginning.
yeah,
I haven't changed anything about that,
yeah,
and my vet grills me every time. "Do you give it to him raw?" "No, he gets it grilled." We actually use the grill twice a day for him
yeah,
and he gets it all winter long, so our neighbors probably think we're crazy.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah,
He's so spoiled.
yeah, I said I always said too, it probably won't be a while before we get another dog.
Yeah.
We just lost our dog,
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, back in, I think 2023 or something,
Yeah,
2024.
it just rips it's funny as
Yeah,
kids.
it was, like, after my dad and my brother,
Yeah.
though, so, I mean, literally, like, 2 months after my brother passed away,
Yeah.
and my brother passed away 8 months after my dad,
Right.
so I was like I almost felt, like, bulletproof, and I was like, "Well," you
And
know what
that
I
one
mean?
puts you on your
Yeah,
It's amazing the sadness that you get with the loss of a companion, such as a dog or a cat.
yeah,
It's pretty intense.
yeah,
Sometimes you feel guilty if you've cried harder for the four-legged creature than sometimes a parent or a sibling,
yeah,
There are chances and times. I mean, I think my mister has muttered those words. He goes, "Why did I cry so hard?" I don't think I cried so hard for my own parents.
yeah,
But just that close bond that you develop with them is really hard to get over sometimes.
yeah, yeah, it's terrible,
Mhm.
but,
But going back to the carnivore diet here, so, you didn't add anything other than meat, eh,
no, just, well,
butter,
yeah, meat,
eggs?
eggs, yeah, meat, eggs, butter, and salt, and I went back to the doctor, and he's like, Man, you look great. Like, what have you been doing?" And I literally told him,
Yep.
I said, "Beef, salt, butter, and eggs, everything you tell me not to eat." And he's like, "Get the heck out of here." He's like, "Are you
Right.
serious?" And he's like, I was like, "Yep." And so anyways, and that's we did some blood work, and that's when, we found out that my cholesterol shot up, and
Right.
um so anyways, but yeah, but I tell everybody, like, I did a podcast before about the
Mhm.
cholesterol thing, but we were talking about health and fitness in there, and I anybody I talk to, I'm not trying to make you a carnivore.
Right.
Um, but I would say if I could give anybody any like dietary advice, it would be eat one ingredient foods. Like your body knows what to do with ribeye.
Yep.
it doesn't know what to do with the low fat, low calorie snack that's got 13 ingredients in it, you know?
Right.
Um, so if you like vegetables or fruits, those are one ingredient foods,
Yeah.
and your body knows what to do with that.
Mhm.
And in my opinion, you can eat a little bit more. We do all this like calorie counting and stuff, which isn't a bad thing. Like just make sure you're not overeating, but like I don't think it's necessary.
No.
If you're not gonna get fat eating blueberries. You know what I
Right.
mean? And
Well, no,
yeah.
and it's true, and it's funny because, talking about weight loss, I mean, when they were trying to figure out my illness, they kept putting me on steroids. They, the doctors, put me
Yeah.
on steroids, and so unfortunately, the steroids, I plumped up. So I think I was up to, I'm gonna say probably 210, 215 pounds. And then once the steroids got out of my system and then the Lyme disease fully kicked in, that's when the weight came back off, and it was fast, and it was scary when that happened because I was like, "Oh, no, I have cancer," or, "Oh, no, something else is wrong with me," or, "Oh, no," because they still didn't know what was wrong with me.
Yeah.
But it's my mom, and, she always struggled with weight and things, and so she went to Weight Watchers, from the early '80s
Yeah.
on, but then she also did the crazy, like, pills and things like the fen and Redux,
Sure.
but when it got back to food, we were an ingredient kitchen, so that's how she changed things. She
You said
never
an ingredient kitchen?
Yes.
Oh, so like
We have
cheese.
to cook,
Okay,
to
gotcha.
eat.
Yeah, yeah.
So she stopped buying things like cookies and crackers and anything that would be left out that she would munch on because she was attracted to that.
Yeah,
So then when you would go home, we couldn't just open up the cupboard and grab something out like some gummy bears or whatever, some fruit snacks. We actually had to cook something. So I had hot breakfast every morning before I left for school,
yeah,
and then, we always had to cook dinner at night, but everything, like I said, you had to pull out the bread and make a grilled cheese sandwich. You couldn't just grab something and go.
yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. It reminds me of not too many heard of this saying, but, heart disease runs in the family, but nobody runs in the family.
Mm.
You know, like
Yes.
like we're always hit to, especially the medical industry doctors, right? Um, well, heart disease runs in your family, but really you inherit, I would say, and I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm not a
Oh,
doctor, I'm a barber, but I think you inherit bad food, bad lifestyle,
choices and
yeah, yeah.
habits
If you
and
got if
things.
you got if you got crackers and cookies and you grew up in
Mhm.
in Faygo, my biggest thing when I was a kid, my parents always had Faygo Cola. I'm talking
Right,
when they had the 3-liter bottles, my parents would buy 16 at a time,
right,
and we'd always have it in the back hallway. Well, then when, you grow up and you get older, you have heart disease. You're like, "Oh, well, did your parents have heart disease?" Like, "Yeah, they probably
right.
ate like trash too," So,
No,
I'm trying. I
no,
know
no,
my
no,
mom. I
no,
know
no,
my
no.
mom is gonna be watching this. Sorry,
She's
mom.
No, no,
But
but you don't mean it in that way because I'm gonna tell you, it's funny because going back to my household, so my mom, I mean, one of her big things is she would start to eat on a small plate with a small fork because then she's eating smaller bites and it's taking her longer to eat, so her plate looks full.
sure.
Smaller bites takes her longer, so it lets your stomach catch up to your brain,
Yeah.
so then you're not overeating. It's like you take that last bite and you're like, "Oh, I shouldn't have done that," because now you feel too full, and now you're uncomfortable or whatever.
Yeah.
But, like I said, going to the ingredient household, I mean, our sugar cereal at home was like Raisin Bran or something like that.
Yeah.
I didn't get like all of those, corn puffs or cocoa puffs or whatever you want to call it, but I would go to my aunt's and she would have it there.
Yeah.
And I would remember, there'd be times that, that was where I could get my junk food if I wanted it, but, I was much happier having the healthy food. And my mom always had, fruit around. That was always a big thing. I remember her going to that same aunt's house and putting a big bowl of fruit on the kitchen table, and my aunt said, "My kids won't eat that."
Yeah.
And it was gone within a weekend because
Yeah.
as the kids walked by, they just grabbed a grape or they grabbed a banana, and even today, I still eat at least a banana a day.
Yeah. You can go
Mm.
and this is like what just from the rabbit hole that I've been down when I got healthy. It was 2019, my last like, hurrah, whatever you want, where I'm like, my weight was getting up there, but my son was going to be born. So that's when the carnivore thing all
Right.
kind of started right around then. Well, it was Weight Watchers into when the weight started going back up into the carnivore.
Right.
But I started just reading, researching different opinions and stuff, and I found out like you're talking about like Raisin Bran and like processed foods and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Her kids wouldn't eat it. So when back in the 70s, I believe, I'd have to go back and research all this, but back in I believe it was the 70s when it was discovered cigarettes caused cancer
Mhm.
because everybody knows when they first came out, they didn't cause cancer. But
Hell, the doctors would sit in the office and smoke.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So come on.
I believe it was the 70s when they came out and they said, "Oh, this causes cancer, blah blah blah." Well, the tobacco industry investors then went and invested in the processed food companies. So now they have, and this is from what I read,
Mhm.
they have like scientists, doctors, or whatever in lab coats studying the brain. Like let's say Frito Lay.
Right.
They have people in there researching the brain, watching the dopamine, like they're trying to mimic.
Mhm.
So like when you hear like Pringles, once you pop, you can't stop. There's actually like science behind that. It's not about making quality food, obviously.
Mhm.
It's about how do we get the population as addicted as possible to these foods.
Mhm.
And and taste and stuff comes secondary
Mhm.
to addiction.
Right.
And that's wild. Like, how is that even legal here in the
Right.
United States?
Right.
But
Well, and there's a big push now about getting rid of like red dye number, whatever, and all of those things, all of those artificial things out of our foods, which is, I think important. I mean,
yeah,
I'll eat fast food, but not on a regular basis. It's usually if I'm traveling on the road and I need to grab something on the way.
yeah,
But I typically try to cook at home. It seems that every time I go out to a restaurant and order food, mine is the meal that gets messed up. So it is
yeah,
just a constant reminder. No, you should be at home cooking because you know what's in your food then,
yeah,
and so it's
yeah. It's interesting too, like yeah, I think the red dye thing it can be a good thing, right? But like it's still, and I guess this is like, you get kind of political, but you're still waiting on the government to come and save you, right? Like
you can make choices
you
right
don't
now.
have to eat red dye now.
No,
You know what I mean?
you
Like
make those choices.
eat eggs and bacon in the morning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the government is not here to save anyone.
They're not well, you're right. They're not in your kitchen like
Yeah, yeah,
tapping
yeah. Like that's what
their
'cause
board saying, "You need to eat this. This is what," they give the food pyramid as a suggestion, it's not written in stone. It's just saying this is what we think might be the healthiest,
yeah,
portion control for you.
yeah.
I mean, because, on your plate, so, like, now, have you shifted off of the carnivore? Are you staying on that? Is that what you go by every day,
No,
or
I usually so there's something called animal based too. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but it's
no?
like it's meat heavy, carnivore-ish, and then fruits, honey, like if you want your sweets, you're getting it from like nothing fake.
Right,
Honey and so me and my wife, I turned my wife into just an animal, man. She she buys the best honey now and maple syrup.
right,
So so yeah, I'll eat some fruits and stuff like but all my everything that I eat is one ingredient, but I'm really having so I always tell everybody weight loss with the carnivore diet's kind of secondary. I'm having I think from barbering Alexis so probably has some issues too, but I from pumping up the chair,
uh-huh,
I'm having this thing on the top of my foot. I'm 42 years old now, so it's got to be arthritis or some kind of tendonitis.
right,
But I'm gonna go carnivore because usually about 3 days. I'm not kidding, and I would just push anybody to put this to the test.
right,
Usually within 3 days, if you have any ailments, aches or pains, they're gone in 3 days on the carnivore diet.
right,
And that's probably a combination of your body, um, just just
Well, it's almost like put
repairing itself,
right. Well, it's almost not really a fasting because you're eating, but it's like you're cleansing your body in essence because you're feeding your body to let it to give it the energy to do what it has to do to fix itself.
Yeah, yeah, and, from what I understand, there's this guy, Doctor Anthony Chafee. He is a, former professional, um, lacro or rugby player,
Okay.
but he's a carnivore, and, he was talking about that, like, fasting, you the benefits because your body goes into, oh gosh, what's it called? It's when the cells are not processing any food, like, it doesn't have to process food, so it goes off into looks for other jobs to do,
Okay.
and, one of them is actually, like, eating cancer cells.
Right. So
So
basically, you put them into a starvation state,
right,
and so they're going to look for energy or whatever. And if it's
yeah.
cancer,
But he said I remember him saying that, and this is a legit doctor, he said, "If you're not eating carbs, your body you still get that benefit."
Mhm.
Um, so
Right. Well, and that's I mean, because that goes back to excluding things too, so it's just like because not everybody can exclude certain things out of their diet or they
sure.
try. But one of the things that you said my wife's an animal, so she started it on this too. It's a family effort. So if
Yeah,
you're one person living in a household trying to make this change and do these things, it's nearly impossible for you when you don't have the support of everybody around you because you can't just have that one cupboard that just has your food in it when everything else is exposed to you. Because I mean, there's willpower there, but
yeah,
it's a monster if everybody around you is drinking the soda, eating the chips, and doing everything else and trying to work against you or taunt you because you're trying to be healthier too. Because if they don't have that same mindset,
yeah,
you say your mom might be mad and things like that. My aunt might be mad because she knows I'll tell you, well, two of the aunts, they both know there was one type of cooking and which was usually a semi-prepared box or something, which is fine because they have busy lifestyles. But
yeah,
my mom, I don't know, for some reason, that's the life that she chose. So, like, on my plate today, you'll see the small portion of protein, but the majority of what you see is going to be vegetables.
right,
Usually a steamed vegetable or some sort or whatever, but
yeah,
and that's what I eat first. I, like, fill up on the vegetables, add in a little bit of protein,
yeah,
and then go from there.
yeah,
But that's my choice, but that's
sure.
what I prefer to eat. I could eat broccoli and cauliflower all day long.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean, that's what when we were talking about, like, it's different for everybody, right? Because
Right,
when I ate broccoli, like I said, when I was doing the bodybuilding thing years
right,
ago, I would get really, really gassy, bloated, I
right,
felt like crap,
right.
and I'm like, "Well, broccoli's healthy," but, and then I was like, "Well," I don't know, fast forward all these years later, I'm like, "Well, I know it still makes me feel that way." And it's
Right,
like, "Well, maybe broccoli's not for me," and,
right. Well, it's just
yeah.
like asparagus. I mean, is actually, if you eat asparagus, it's actually, it helps to dilute or what's the word? Flush your system.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
I was gonna
trying to
say
say.
something about pee, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's only a specific percent that actually can smell the difference. There's a specific gene that you can actually smell the difference in your urine after eating asparagus. But one of the things was it was gosh, I'm trying to think. Diuretic, that's the word I'm looking for. And same thing with, like, parsley for bloating and that,
Yeah.
if you sprinkle, like a flat leaf parsley, like, on top of your food or your salad and that actually helps to get, like, the salt and flush your body out as well.
Oh, okay.
Just little things that you pick up along the way when you're, like, researching health and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
but now, you have the full support of your family, everybody's bought in. You're doing the healthy eating, but then you also do the bodybuilding.
Yeah,
So
well,
not really bodybuilding, but
yeah,
you go to the gym, you work
yeah,
out, you do things. So you were at the gym today.
yeah.
How often do you go?
I go honestly, I go every day. Um, and I know people say it's not healthy or whatever, but, the gym for me is like the way I look is secondary. I deal with, anxiety.
Right,
I would say not depression. I know anxiety and depression usually goes hand in hand, but I don't really get depressed. But I just get anxious. I feel good when I leave the gym,
right.
so
Well,
I like to go every single day.
you're showing up for yourself.
Yeah.
That's number 1. So it's something that you do for you. nobody else,
Yep.
and that's key right there, and that's probably why you enjoy it so much. I don't go.
Yeah.
I honestly paid for a gym membership for 3 years, and finally, I was on the phone with my bank, and they said, "What's the last charge on your account?" And I said, "Probably my gym membership."
Was it Planet Fitness?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And she says, she goes, "We can change that by a penny and make sure it blocks out of your account, and you don't have to go in and cancel it." I'm like, "Please do."
Yeah,
That's how
yeah.
I got out of my
Yeah.
contact. They called me for a couple months after, and I never responded, so
Planet Fitness did?
yeah,
Yeah.
but it just, my anxiety is actually going in there and working out in front of people,
Oh,
and I'm
really?
certain that there's a lot of people that feel the same way, and
Yeah.
so I have a stationary bike at home that I purchased, and now it's a clothes horse because I've yet to use it. I did put it together, but,
Yeah. You know what's great?
I
You know what's
tried to do
crazy?
that. I have no drive to work out.
Yeah. You know what's interesting when you say that? Because I think I felt the same way 20 years ago, going, being overweight, going into the gym, but I feel like the newer generation gets kinda crapped on
Mhm,
for a lot of things.
mhm.
But I tell you what, in my opinion, the gym culture
Right?
is so much better now. Like,
Okay.
people are way more approachable,
Right.
and I don't care if you're if you're 400 pounds 20, 30 years ago, you know, people are in there going, "Look," "how do you let your" and now you walk in there overweight and people are, like, walking up to you like, "Man, keep coming, man," and, like, way more
Lifting
approachable.
you
Yeah,
and just
yeah.
saying, "You belong here. This is
Yeah,
let's do this."
I think the younger generation has, and amongst other things, I'm not saying that's all you guys got right, but
Right.
yeah, the gym culture now is way better,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah, 'cause,
So,
there is. You think about that, Venice Beach thing, that's
yeah,
kinda like what's in your brain is like these, ripped people and,
yeah,
and it's just like totally unapproachable and you don't wanna look like the moron asking about this machine over here
yeah,
or doing the wrong thing. And I think that's a little bit too is because not knowing if the exercises you're doing when you walk in there, they tell you, like, different stations and stuff to do, but, you don't wanna injure yourself either.
sure.
So, I mean, how when you go in, have you, like, studied, like, which muscles you're working on, what to do properly, what not to do? I mean, how do you develop a program that works for you?
Yeah, I think, if anybody was on the fence with that, like, YouTube is, like,
Mhm.
free,
Right.
and, yeah, so you can just find out, like, a split that works for you. I know, just all the way back to high school, you do chest one day, you do back one day, you do arms one day, and you do shoulder,
Right.
all this and legs, and, but like today I went in and I hit chest with shoulders and triceps, um, and I like to work out keeping my heart rate up.
Right.
So I'd like to do push-ups in between sets,
Mhm.
and, so it's also kinda feels like I'm running
Mhm.
while I'm 'cause my heart rate's up
Right.
the entire time, and, uh, and I know, I guess it's not the greatest thing if you wanna, like, body build or whatever, but, anyways, that's just what I like to do, what works for me, because I also, like, as far as the gym goes, it's same with food. I tell everybody, like I said, find out a way to eat that you don't hate. That's what
Right.
I would recommend carnivore, animal-based, because, same thing with working out, though. Find something that you like to do. That's why I also do MMA, jiu-jitsu, because I've always liked fighting,
Right.
and,
So tell me about that. So the MMA is mixed martial arts,
yeah.
and then jujitsu is just is one form of martial arts,
Right, right.
correct? So, tell me about the jujitsu.
Well, jiu-jitsu, I actually just kinda started recently, like, well, I got a little bit more serious about it. I haven't been in there in a couple of weeks. I know I got some texts from some coaches and emails and stuff, but, but I started training
Mhm.
in 2022. I got back into, a gym, Michigan top team,
Mhm.
and, they, I probably shouldn't well, I was 38, 39 years old, and those guys are fighters
Uh-huh.
out there. Everybody competes. And, so you'll leave practice with headaches and stuff like that. But I mostly did stand up there. I did a few jujitsu classes, um, but now I'm training at, I joined Michigan Grappling, and my son was doing, he's 7 years old, and he was doing, he just actually competed, a couple of weeks ago in his first jiu-jitsu competition.
Mhm.
Um,
Now, can you describe to me what jujitsu is?
Jiu-jitsu, I mean, it's, have some, probably some people at my gym will make fun of me for this, but, I guess I don't really know a the definition, but it's just ground fighting, and it's
Right.
all submissions, grappling, wrestling, although it's not, wrestlers make great, jujitsu people
Right.
just because they're already familiar with grappling, takedowns,
Right.
and things like that. So it's just, grappling with chokes and arm bars, and,
But it's not but it's not like is it intense or is it just is it like how
yeah, it's pretty intense. I know,
I
you
mean,
know
because there's some moves that, when, like, you can walk up to somebody and drop them to the ground, not necessarily, in some sort of martial arts, but doesn't seem like it's, like, a violent way. They just go up and somehow just turn somebody and they're on the ground before you know it. Maybe it's just because it's sleight of hand or something, I don't know. But it's, not I'm not a fighter,
Yeah, yeah,
so I'm
yeah.
curious here.
Yeah.
So, like, how is it so, like, it's, like kind of like a combat, kind of like close hand combat? Is that
Yeah.
kinda how you would describe it?
Yeah, and like you in most tournaments, like I competed in my first jiu-jitsu competition back in January, and, it's you start off on your feet just like you do in a
Mhm.
fight, and, I don't know, I'm sure you've probably seen, like, high school wrestling and stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty similar. You shake hands, and then you're kinda like you're head to head, and you're looking to, get them to the ground, and then you get them to the ground and, go from there, grab a neck, grab some kinda limb.
Right.
There's other different, um competitions where I watch on TV, like, if somebody, like, is protecting the neck too much and not advancing or trying to advance, you're allowed to strike.
Okay.
So you can, like, palm like, you can't hit, but you can palm so you can smack these people
Okay.
in the face. I've never competed in any of those competitions,
Right.
but, but yeah, so, I mean, but it is intense, like, I fought and, I've done a couple fights, and I remember 18 doing the tough man contest I fought at Coble Hall,
Uh-huh.
and those were 3 one-minute rounds, and that is an eternity for a fight.
Okay.
And, jiu-jitsu, the competition that I competed in, it was 5-minute rounds. Well, 1 5-minute round. So 5 minutes,
One time.
my goodness, I felt like I ran a marathon,
Okay.
you know? And,
'Cause you're the whole 5 minutes, you're trying to stay on your feet and take the other person down.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
I mean,
and
that's a lot.
yeah, and if they get on top of you, you're trying to fight. And what happened to me in my first competition was it's funny you said they always screw up your order.
Yeah.
What happened to me in my first competition was I signed up for the 40 plus bracket,
Okay.
and there was only one other guy that signed up. Well, he was a no-show. So I had like friends and family there, and so I went up to the table and I was like, "Hey," and they're like, "Well, you can go you can go get your medals. You did everything you were supposed to do, or we can put you in with the young guys." And the way he said it had me, I was like, well, he said it like it was like something that was crazy, like that I shouldn't do. That's how I took it anyways.
Right.
My coach was standing right next to me, but I go, well, these guys are all white belts, like me, right? And he's like, oh yeah, they're all white belts. And I thought, okay, because he said it like I was going to be fighting like adult, like black belts or something,
Okay.
guys who've been. So yeah, so I went and did it. I went and did, got in there with the young, and the first guy, my first match was a 20-year-old kid, and he was he was 6'4", probably 240.
Okay.
The bracket that I signed up that they placed me in was under 230. This kid looked like he cut weight to he didn't look like he was under 230. He might have been that morning,
Right.
when he weighed in, but he was a big boy.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it was fun though, and um yeah, I just like to add things that I like doing in order to,
Right.
just same thing with food. So
So who won that competition?
I had 2 matches and I tweaked my foot, but I lost both matches on points.
Mhm.
So didn't get submitted.
Right.
Um, And, but
But that's good, but
yeah,
it's
my
like
first
but
that was my
that was
first
your
ever.
first time,
Yeah.
so that was, like, your first step in, you kinda had to learn the ropes a little bit,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
you said
Fighting guys, like I said, that wasn't a fighting guy is much younger than me.
well, they're
Uh,
fast well, a 20-year-old versus a 40-year-old, I mean, there is a faster momentum
for
and
sure.
ability to just jump up from the floor or
Yeah.
anything else, I mean, they're just a bit more wiry,
Yeah.
most
It's funny
definitely.
because there's a part in, in my competition, I went and watched a couple of the matches, and, I sat up because he had me on the ground, he had my back,
Uh-huh.
and I somehow, like, sat up, but it reminded me I don't know if you ever watch wrestling, but it reminded me of The Undertaker when he was, like, knocked out, and it's like he, like, sits
So
up,
tough.
and the way I sat up, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I look old as hell." Like, so like, the way I sat up, you know? Instead of, like, a spring chick, and
Right.
this kid probably woulda popped up,
Right.
but I was, like, sat up and, like, my butt was still on the ground. I was like, "Man, I look like an old man."
No, I get that.
Yeah.
Now with the MMA, so what do you do? Now is that a regular thing that you fight with as well?
Yeah, so I was like I said, I was at Michigan Top Team, and I did a smoke the reason why I signed up is 'cause I had lost so much weight, and,
Uh-huh.
my goal was to get a fight and fight at, like, 185,
Okay.
which is, like, pretty a pretty high goal, 'cause
Mhm.
like I said, I was 330 pounds at one point. But I ended up getting a fight. It was a smoker, and I don't a smoker, I'm sure you guys never heard of a smoker, but a smoker is just like, something that it's like they had it under, like, competitive sparring, and I think they do it so they don't have to, like, jump through, like, the insurance things, because you
Right.
have to go get insurance and have medical, so it was a fight. Like, both of us, it was not, not competitive sparring. You had
Right.
the option to wear headgear or not. I chose to wear headgear because my wife was there, and, so she was, it was funny.
Watching your every
Yeah,
move.
it's funny. There was this moment, she had my mouthpiece, and I was about to walk into the cage, and I am deathly afraid of airplanes. Like, I can't think of anything worse than, like, having to fly like, you couldn't pay me to go to Hawaii.
Okay.
Like, if somebody said, "Hey, I'll give you $1,000,000 to go to Hawaii," I would probably tell them no.
Have you ever been on a plane?
Yep, been on a plane,
And
and
it
it's
just scared
worst
you?
worst
Okay.
experience. It's not about death, but anyways, that's a whole whole 'nother thing. So anyways,
Fears
um,
of that
yeah,
in part 3.
yeah, yeah. So I'm about to walk into the cage, and my wife has my mouthpiece, and she puts it in my mouth. She goes, "So no airplanes, huh?" Like, how are you like this here? I'm walking into a cage where this guy wants to kill me, but
You won't go to Hawaii.
yeah, yeah, but I'm like, this is my world. Like, this is my world. Like,
Yeah,
I
this is
know.
this is
Like,
me.
I'm like, some people like roller coasters.
Mhm.
I don't, but man, if you want to get your adrenaline go like that,
Yeah,
I think that adrenaline dump that people look for in, like, roller coasters or walk
right,
into a fight, man, like that is like,
right.
woo,
And
you know?
and a legit fight, this isn't
Yeah,
like in the dark alley,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
this is you're going in because this is a competition, you're going in for the dance and
yeah, yeah. It's not. I remember explaining it to because my wife. I think a lot of women, right? I mean, women MMA fighting and boxing and stuff is increasing, but I think a lot
yes.
of women don't understand it. And a lot of guys too, like they watch football and basketball and stuff, but not fighting. But anyways, I remember watching a fight with my wife 'cause she watches them with me now. God bless her, man. But and I know she just watches it because of me. But
Right.
there's this guy there. It was in the UFC, and they're fighting for the 170 pound belt. Yeah, it was Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards, and Kamaru Usman had been champ for years,
Uh-huh.
and he was cruising to a decision, 5-round championship bout, and there was 50 seconds left. And it was kind of boring, and I was kind of pissed that I even like stayed up because we had church the next day. It's like 1 a.m.
Right.
UFC starts at 10. But anyways, there's like 50 seconds left in the fight, and Kamaru Usman, or I'm sorry, Leon Edwards threw a left hand. He was down in the fight. He was going to lose this fight. He throws this left hand, and then he connects with a head kick and knocked out Kamaru Usman. And to the person who doesn't watch um, MMA or know anything about like striking or anything like that, you would have just thought you probably wouldn't even have seen the left hand, but
Right.
you'd have just seen, oh, he got kicked in the face. Well, the left hand that he threw was just to show him it wasn't even to touch him. It was basically just to hide the head kick that was already coming.
Right.
So he throws it, and the head kick's already coming. He slipped his head off the center line, which means, you never wanna have your head on the center line. You always wanna,
Right.
you know so he slipped his head off the center line to slip this left hand, but his other hand was down, and the head kick caught him in the head,
Right.
and it was like and I go, "Babe, did you see what just happened?" And she's like, "Yeah, he kicked him in the." I go, "No, no, no." And I explained it to her,
Right.
like, the only reason why he showed him the left hand was to cover up.
The leg
Yeah, and
that
I
was
go
already in motion.
"Man, some people like poetry." I'm like,
Right.
that is my poet." And she sat there, it's like 1:30 in the morning. Well, she sat there, she goes, "Yeah, I can now see," her answer
Yeah.
pretty much was like, "Not for me still, but I can see,
Understand.
yeah, I can
Well,
understand why."
there's a strategy to it. You don't
Yeah.
just go into this cage and hope that you don't end up with the crap beaten out of you,
Yeah.
or whatever. There's a strategy, there's angles. It's just like you go into any match, you know what your opponent how your opponent fights.
Sure.
You know what you're planning for, what you're expecting, and
Yeah.
and then you know how to brace yourself or go in for whatever you need to do to win the match.
Yeah,
So
Leon Edwards, it's like the story is behind, like, this guy Leon Edwards, like, grew up in he was Jamaican and then moved to England, but he grew up, he's talking about his time in Jamaica where he grew up in, um, like a hut, and now
right,
this guy just won UFC championship of
right,
the world, and his dad was like a drug dealer that was killed in a bad drug deal, so he didn't really have a dad growing up, and then when he
right.
did have a dad growing up, probably wasn't the best role model, he was a gangster or whatever, and,
Well,
so the stories behind it, I'm like,
there's a lot.
yeah.
Now, tell me about the injuries that can be sustained. Is it as scary as it looks, or is it, can like you, because I don't watch those things because it hurts me.
Yeah,
Honestly, it's like I see it and I see somebody get kicked in the head or in the face or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I
yeah,
just I feel it, and I that's why I don't watch those things. I can't,
yeah,
because it just it makes me like cringe.
yeah.
So it's just like, but is it as bad as, I know wrestling, they have their moments of theatrics and whatever, but it's still real wrestling, at the end of the
Yeah.
day. But, how is MMA or jujitsu, and how, do you face like injury when you go into those rings and things?
Yeah, I think for me, I don't know if it's an age thing or whatever, but you get like little tweaks, that can keep you out. Jujitsu, you can get stuff with your wrist, elbow, your neck,
Right.
but and or I'm at an age now, if I sleep a certain way, I'm out of the
If
gym
I
for.
turn the wrong way,
Yeah.
I'm like, uh-oh, here we go again.
Yeah, but as and again, I think it's another thing with with people, right? Like some people, the old Mike Tyson saying, like, everybody has a plan till they get punched in the mouth, right? Like,
Mhm.
how do you, how do you, how do you take a punch? So like the injuries could be bad. Yeah, you can wake up the next day with a headache, after a hard spar, and that's Michigan top team. You are, when you go to the pro boxing class, like you're fighting
Right.
at practice. But everybody, I never ran into like anybody that was like over the top. There, everybody was gentlemen, and even because I sparred ladies there,
Right.
and if they catch you with a good shot, they're like, "You are you okay? Oh, like, are you okay? You okay?" And, so I think like the injuries can happen more in men because of our egos. Like somebody gets you in a choke or an armbar, we don't want to tap. But I can tell you, like, I'm not that guy.
Right.
Um, if I feel you wrap my neck, I'm gonna tap. I'm not gonna,
You're not gonna play
you
that
know,
game.
I own a I own a small business. I gotta go to work. Like,
Right.
I don't have sick days.
Well, and that's it, especially when you're self-employed. I don't have sick time, I don't have vacation time. If I don't
Yeah.
show up, I don't get paid.
Yeah. And I got a wife that's gonna be like, you know?
Well, it's just the same. So
Rightfully so though, babe. Yeah.
so my mister,
Yeah.
he's a little cavalier, with his workout routine,
Yeah.
but we call him prison weights, because he was, just having rental properties and things through the years. Young kids leave weights behind, so he's got this, conglomerate of
Oh, nice.
mismatch of all these different weights,
Yeah.
various piles in our basement, and so he goes down and he just lifts. Usually, that's all he does.
Yeah.
Upper body and stuff like that. But we always joke that he's lifting the prison weights. That's
Yeah.
what he calls them, just because it's not a matching set and it's all
Yeah.
rickety and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Can't beat the price though.
No, no, but he does push himself, at
Yeah.
times, and there's been once where I think he missed the bar and it came down and he
Oh.
tore himself here, and I wasn't home, and I'm like, "Dude,
Mm.
you can't do those things."
Did he tear like something inside or like he cut
It
himself?
was something with a muscle inside,
Oh,
so he
okay.
tore, like, his
Oh
whatever,
no.
and
Yeah.
he couldn't work out for several months. I'm like, "Now you just set yourself back," and he uses the weightlifting mostly for, like, stress relief, and it also makes him hungrier, so he eats more appetite-wise,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
I
there's
would say that is definitely the cool thing about working out is you can eat more.
Yes.
You like to eat,
Yes,
you
you
can eat
can
more.
eat more because it
Yeah.
does, and so we definitely see, his appetite improve and things like that. Because I don't eat that much, so if I don't eat much, then he doesn't eat much, so then, but he needs to eat more,
Yeah.
especially but he finds that appetite is much more improved after working out, so
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
definitely. So, no, there's so many benefits. So now so just continuing on working out, continuing just good health choices, that's a big thing, right? Or good
Yeah.
food choices, continuing with the MMA, exploring more with the jujitsu.
Yeah.
What other health things are you looking to look at? I mean, as we all enter, I mean, you hit a certain age and you start these, this test is due, this test, this check that, it's
Yeah.
just like the clock starts ticking and it becomes a little bit more real when you face issues, or you hear of people that have issues and it's like, wow, it's like as we creep up in age,
Yeah.
what do you shift and focus on for health as you go forward? Because, obviously I see your arms and that. So muscle atrophy is always the biggest concern for aging.
Yes.
So as you lose
Not a
muscle,
lot of people know that.
yes.
That's good for you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, if you
That
don't
is like
have
the number
muscle,
one. Yeah, that is like the number one thing for longevity
yes.
is muscle mass.
Yes.
And, you know, part part 3,
We will
hint
have a first
hint
degree.
hint 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 hint. But from what I understand, like Ozempic in these shots, the scale number is going down, but like I think close to 60%. I could be wrong, but close to 60% is muscle mass that these people are losing,
Right,
so you got to combat that with, working out and
right.
you still got to eat.
And it doesn't you right, you still have to eat, but and it
Protein.
doesn't even have to about working out, going to the gym. There's things you can use chairs, you can use
Oh
walls. I
yeah.
mean, you could do the push-ups on the walls. Like if you can't get on the floor, you can just use your own body weight
Yeah.
and build that arm
Yeah.
muscle and
Resistance
things like
bands.
that. Oh yeah.
Oh
I mean,
man.
there's a lot of fun things that you can do at home,
Yeah.
or walking in the park or whatever that you don't need to be in a gym to do.
Yeah.
Um I don't know if I'll ever go
Yeah.
back into a
Yeah.
gym.
Yeah.
So, oh well. But, eventually, but yeah, but that's the big thing is, aging, so it's
Yeah.
like I'm next, what, let's see, in less than a week will be 47, which, is still young.
Yeah.
But you start to think as you creep up on that next decade, it's like, okay, my mom only made it to 51. So that's always in the brain anyways. And then, if I get past 51, everything will be just fine. But what am I going to do to make sure I can live to 90 or 100?
Yeah.
And it's going to come down to healthy food choices, muscles, or making sure that I have muscle and,
Yeah.
and keeping the brain sharp.
Yeah, I think Alexis mentioned that her sister teaches Pilates. And I think if they're, to answer your question, the one thing that I'm kind of exploring now, it's yeah, I love lifting weights and I love big arms and chest and stuff like that. But what really um I think gets me excited is like being flexible.
Yeah.
Like I went to a softball tournament last year, the game started, and an outfielder went out there. I'm sure he was in his 20s, but he sprinted out there, and then when he got into his position, he did a backflip.
Yeah.
And I go, man, 20 years ago, somebody benching 700 pounds I'd be like, man, that impressed me. That backflip impressed me.
Yes.
When I see people in the gym, it's usually women doing like handstands and stuff. That impresses me.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think just being limber and gymnasts, man, that stuff is
Oh, I know.
that's crazy.
I know.
I go to church with a kid who is really, really good, like top in the state. And yeah, I just seen it was his name's Ben Harrison. He just booked a haircut appointment with me. So
Nice.
yeah, I see him coming in a couple of weeks. But that stuff to me is that's what impresses me, and that's what I'm kind of want to be limber.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with like shoulder injury in my right shoulder. It was my left shoulder. My left shoulder is still bugging me, but not my right, not my foot. But I've been eating fruits and
Mhm.
things like that. So I'm gonna jump on strict carnivore and see if all this goes away in 3 to 5 days.
Right.
So it has in the past. So, anyways,
Well, let us know, please.
I will.
And then we'll have to have our part 3 because there's so much more to learn about
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
we'll
yeah.
definitely have to do that. But, we when we talked the first time, you had given an anthem for your life or for what was for the moment. But, let's since we're talking about being in the gym and being active and working hard, what's the first song that you put on when you walk in the gym? Or do you listen to music when you
Oh yeah,
go?
yeah, I sure do. Yeah, I'm the guy that will turn around if I forgot my headphones. I literally just did the other day because I took my wife's car and my headphones are in the other car. So
Yeah.
I've always loved rap music,
Mhm.
even before I was a Christian, till to now. But now I listen to Christian rap.
Okay.
Um, so the first song that
So,
jumped,
it's so funny. That sounds like an oxymoron of sorts,
doesn't it? Yeah,
by
yeah, yeah.
Christian rap.
Yeah, and it's crazy too because like people will get this um this idea like when you watch like a Christian movie,
Right.
they're like low budget and like the movie sucks.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of very, very, very talented Christian artists.
Oh, yeah.
NF is a Christian artist, and so he made it in mainstream. But anyways, his song "Grindin" is probably what pops into mind
Okay.
first. Yeah,
All right.
NF "Grindin."
Grinding.
Yeah,
I like that. Okay.
yeah,
So I'm gonna have to listen to that,
yeah,
and and we're gonna definitely add that one to the playlist.
yeah. It'll fire you up. Get
Okay.
you to
Great.
get
No,
you.
well, maybe it'll make me work out. If it can make me work out, then we've achieved a
You know,
miracle.
my mom, just something to think about. My mom would always say, will say sometimes like, I don't have the motivation. I don't have the motivation to go to the gym. And I'm like, well, did you have the motivation to go to work every single day for the last 40 years? And she goes, well, no. And I was like, well, why did you go? She's like, because I had to.
That's
Same thing with the gym.
and I don't go to the gym, but when I do things, I put my whole body into it,
Yeah.
So it's like if I'm cleaning or if I'm, and I like construction and I like manual labor. So
Yeah.
I like digging holes and,
Oh, there
gardening
you
and
go.
stuff like that. So I haven't gardened in several years, only strictly because of the Lyme disease. And last
Yeah.
year I was like, I got into it a little bit and then I was a little bit more hesitant. I'm like, I don't want to come across a tick again. And I'm just, so I have a fear that, that I know that they're there and they're everywhere. So I just have to overcome that,
Yeah.
spray my body with DEET and say, screw you ticks, I'm coming in, and
Yeah.
and fix my garden again.
Yeah.
But I like that because you just feel like accomplished at the end when you're done and you see how nice the beds look and things like that. So,
Yes. Yeah. Same thing with the
you know,
workout, right? You get
yeah.
you get them
So
leaving.
that's where my workout is digging a hole or doing something hard like
Yeah.
that. So I might not go into the gym, but I'm not lazy in the essence where I'm a couch potato because I'm very active doing something.
Sure. Yeah.
So, but
Yeah. Awesome.
well, thanks again for
Yeah.
joining
Thanks
us.
for having me back on again.
Yeah, and thank you again for joining us on this week's episode of Life Between Coasts. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to grow our community of listeners. We'd like to thank Matt again for joining us, and we hope you have a great week. And until then, bye bye.